hooked up to the front, and then I had a projector hooked up to my graphics card playing a demo on a loop that was facing back on the wall behind me. The first night I came home and I edited all the trees so that you could smash them. And I think I also added the Wilhelm scream. I forget what the chances are, it's like 1 in 5 that when you throw people that you pick up, they'll scream off into the sunset. So the next day I bring it back and let people play, and they hate the controls, which I don't quite get. It's a PC game. It's WASD and click to punch, or left click punch, right click grab, space jump. It seems very intuitive to me, but there was a huge barrier to entry. People would only test it out if they had a controller. Unfortunately, the table right next to me had a guy with a game that had a controller. So the next night I packed up my computer again, packed up my projector again, went home, and spent the entire night putting together a new character controller that would work with an Xbox controller, which I had never done before, and I did a mediocre job. Also, I added this temple, just as a weird thing for people to find. I think this was the last level in that demo for that convention. Fuck you. And I remember when I was putting this thing together, I obviously had a time crunch, because not only did I have the convention the next day, but I also had to sleep and eat and unload and reload my computer and all that stuff. Fuck you, tank. And one thing I couldn't figure out how to do is I couldn't figure out... Is that tank still alive? I couldn't figure out how to make triggers work. Like, in my mind, once you are translating from a controller into... or a mouse into a controller, things on the triggers should translate. Things on the left mouse button, right mouse button, the clicks, should translate to triggers. I wanted to have it right trigger would punch, left trigger would grab. And I don't know what it is with that. The engine that I was using treats triggers like they are joysticks. Like, instead of having it recognize when they're depressed once and calling it a button click, it wanted you to pay attention to axes. It wanted you to see how far they had been turned. And at that time, in my sleep-deprived state, when I was also in the middle of, for some reason, trying to build a temple, because I think I had some Legends of the Hidden Temple joke that I was working on, I just decided, screw it, we're gonna go for the easier thing, we're gonna go for the thing that actually is a button. So the controller support for this game, which I guess I could have gone back and fixed now, but, you know, this game's a year old. The controller support has you playing on joysticks to control the character, and then for grab and punch, you play on bumpers for some reason. For the reason that I just told you. Ah, fucking electro fence. So that was night 2 of the convention. First night I did the Wilhelm scream and made trees destructible. Second night I went home and added controller support and made some weird Easter egg where you could throw people into a temple and skulls would appear at the door. I think there was supposed to be something that would happen if you added 6 people into the temple. I can't remember why I did that. I don't think I worked it out. I think I was just not sleeping so much back then. As you can tell, I have upgraded my lizard to be faster so I can actually dodge this goddamn helicopter. Shit, that fell so far. The third night, like I said, this was pretty early on. I only had 4 levels. Nothing looked good. It still doesn't look great, but it looked worse back then, if you can imagine. The third night, I had to do some quality of life things. You can see when you punch things, it lights up white. You can actually see that you're hitting things. You can see that things with a health bar will react when you attack them. The game didn't have that at that point. I had to go throw that in at the third night so that people would actually understand that they were doing damage. Because nobody wants a damage game where you are just sitting there punching a rock over and over again and it's not doing anything. I added that in. I also had to heavily edit the soldier. I'm sure you've seen me, or if you're paying any attention, you've seen me grab a soldier and eat it or throw it somewhere. At the time, you couldn't do that. The soldiers are not people. Not like the civvies that run around. The soldiers are actually heavily edited turrets. Because the turret was the first enemy in the game, and I decided to have a smaller, weaker version that was just a guy with a gun. And you can't grab the turrets. You also could not grab or eat the soldiers. You could only punch them and kill them or smash them with something. At the time, I slightly wrote it off, thinking who was going to try and grab something that's in the middle of eating, or trying to shoot them. And also, you know, I didn't have a lot of spare time to fix these things. I just decided that you could grab and eat the people, that was good enough, and I moved on. People trying to eat the soldiers was one of the most difficult things to watch when I was watching people playtest my games. They would not leave these soldiers alone, and so many people died and lost the game because they couldn't get them and they wouldn't just smack them. I don't know why they decided to sacrifice their lives instead of punching these little people. But yeah, I had to go fix that. That was also the same night that I added in the sheep that you see wandering around, because I wanted there to be opportunities for the player to get health, not in the middle of a firefight. Kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, come on, do it. Oh yeah, the boat can shoot itself, trying to shoot you through the back of it. This is not the smartest or most well-made AI. I'm sure you've seen a few tanks at this point. You've also seen that they don't spend much time moving. They can, I promise you. But they mostly move away from you. The goal for that was to make it harder for you to smash them. Oop. In the prototype I did for the sequel, the tanks got much more complex AI, so they might actually pursue you and then back away when they get close. But that didn't get enough interest, so that is on the back burner for now. Like I said, I worked with a lot of teams that would spend months and sometimes years putting together prototypes that nobody ever played and polishing things that nobody ever cared about. So I also told myself when I was going to start making games on my own that if I couldn't get interest, and if I wasn't really feeling inspired with a project, or if I thought a project would take a year, I wasn't going to do it. I don't want to be one of those developers that spends 4 or 5 or 10 years building a game in silence, and then puts it out, realizes that no one cares about it, and has a breakdown. I don't know if you guys watching this are in the indie developer space, or just gamers. If you're watching this, you're probably a game developer. But every day on the game dev subreddit, there is somebody talking about how they spent the past 10 years making an MMO, and they released it and no one played it, and they're having a breakdown, and blah blah blah. I get it. If I devoted 10 years of my life to something and it never came out and nobody ever played it, I'd feel frustrated. I'm not going to do that. This game was very fun to make, and it's still fun to play, but it didn't get a ton of attention, and I'm not gonna waste my time building a sequel if it's gonna get even less, because a lot of times sequels get less. If there's a weird pickup, or if I'm feeling ridiculously inspired, I'll probably go back and start working on it again, because it was fun. Let's just watch the way they walk around. Oh, wait! One of the big things on the sequel list is I want you to be able to pick up rubble. You can't pick up rubble in this game. Just because of the way I designed the grabbing and throwing system, it was too complex. Everything that you picked up has its own unique throw tag. Sorry, I really like that you can throw the civilians into the electric fence to kill them. You can't hear it probably from here, but there's a little special unique sound effect when they hit the fence, they sizzle. I also like this. Ah, shit. Come on, sheep, let's get out of here. Yeah, I wanted more complex tanks. I wanted a more complex grab and throw system, so you grab and throw more different types of items. And when I say more complex, I want it to be simpler on the programming side. I wanted more abilities for the lizard. Also, one of the biggest requests that I got at that first convention is people really wanting to breathe fire, which I agree with. That'd be awesome. In the 6 months I gave myself to get this game together, I couldn't get a satisfying fire breath working. I had a couple bad prototypes for it, but it never looked great. Also, look at my dumb joke that the generator just has giant batteries in it. My plan was to have the player... There are red barrels everywhere that you can see me throw at buildings and they explode. My plan was to give the player the option to drink the barrels if they pick them up, just like the player can eat people when they pick them up. But when she picks them up, sorry, this character is a girl. And the prototypes in the first game were terrible for that. It never worked properly, it was ugly, it had problems with the janky physics that were in this first game. So I scrapped that, and now it's just a straight punch and eat. I'm gonna kill this guy with his friend's corpse. Tank. Come here. I also had things in the prototype where, like, there were landing strips, and as long as the landing strips were active, planes would be able to dive bomb you. You had to destroy the landing strips to get rid of the planes. It's a whole thing. It doesn't exist. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Yeah, went to the convention, got to see people interact with my game for the first time, which was awesome and heartbreaking, because you realize how many things that you put into the game for you that nobody else ever notices, and you also realize how much stuff that other people don't understand about your game because they're not the ones who created it. And all the things that you think are intuitive are only intuitive to you because you've seen the back end of this. And all the quality of life things, like you'll see when I get points, you'll see the numbers flash green and grow. All that stuff, all the buildings flashing when they take damage. Particle effects, broken trees, eating soldiers, all of that is specifically because